going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is the first time all three of us has gotten together, but this is For the Love of Wrestling, the Flow Show podcast, if you will. I am one-third of your host, Quincy Jones. Go. We also have Mr. Brian Andrew from the Awkward Side Hug podcast. If you'd like to introduce yourself, I don't want to take away your thunder, sir.
Oh, no, you're good. I had this whole thing set up where my incense was burning, and I was going to say I had like a Kyrian cross entrance here.
Okay.
But it blew out, so.
I didn't have a bird, an inside avian creature. But what's going on, man? And then, of course, we got the guy who lit up the views with his appearance on the second episode, Mr. Young Baka. How you doing, sir?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The American Dream, Young Baka. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to talk wrestling. You know, these hip-hop guys, they just don't get it, you know? These drug dealers, these trappers, these hip-hoppers, these rappers, they just don't get this type of bond. So I'm happy to be here with you guys.
You call yourself the American Dream, but you don't watch AEW.
Listen, I love Cody Rhodes. Just as a human being, as a business person, I love Cody Rhodes and the way he goes after things. But the thing that turns me off about AEW is the AEW fans, the 400, 500-pound people with neck beards that live in a mother's basement that say that everything that Vince McMahon does is wrong. That's what gets me upset, and it turns me off the product a little bit.
See, I think, but that's you're not wrong, but I think that's a minority of the majority because
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think
you're talking to a guy that's been to more events than since they've been on, and yeah, there are some side beard guys, neck beard guys, and all that, but there is some like you'd be surprised the type of people that show up. I was laughing the last show I went because there was this guy that was there, your boy Jack Swagger or Jake Hager now. This guy, you would have strangled him, Brian, because it was almost like his friend took him to check the show out because every time he was wrestling, because it was his match against Dustin, and it was his debut basically, and he was just like, "Oh man, do the Swagger Bomb, be the people, be the people. Oh man, where's Cesaro at?" I'm like, "Yo, why did you take this guy?"
Yo, Brian, what the fuck,
bro?
dude?
Like, no, he would have strangled him for sure, bro. Like, he would have gave Hager a new finish to use literally that night. It was one of those things because he was like 2 seats behind me and then off to like the left, so I was like had to like kind of, dude, shut your friend the F up, bro. Like this is horrible, you know. So, but there are people that are freaking because I deal with these people too on social media. There's people who are like, I watch both. I try to enjoy both, but I can't say I enjoy both consistently.
It's tough. Yeah.
I mean, that's because we shoot it straight. You know, I mean, we're not going to let them slide on nothing. You know what I mean?
right.
And though I am a little bit more educated on AEW and stuff, I definitely don't give them any passes on anything as well. You know what I mean? But it's also hard because the only comparison we have is WWE, but before AEW showed up, they were the end all be all. So it's like, at the same time, who's to say that they've been doing it right, but they've obviously been in business all this time. You know what I mean? So,
first of all, it says something if you've been in business for multiple decades. That's number one.
Yeah. No.
That's why mom and pop business is promoted in business since 1972, in business since 1951, because it shows you're doing something correct if you're still in business through all of this. And I agree. WWE is extremely hard to watch right now. I was watching Monday Night Raw before we did this, and and I watched the Hulu version. The Hulu version is an hour and 20 minutes.
And it was cut out some stuff too. Yeah,
it was tough.
All right,
so I was waiting for that thing to be done.
If we're starting with Raw, I got some fancy booking I want to do. I've been talking about this.
I know we were talking about some fantasy booking for Mr. Austin because that was the thing that was weird, really weird. I was like, so he gets kicked out of one clique and then joins another clique, and I'm like, "There's no loyalty, bro."
But don't you feel like he fits in that clique with Seth Rollins?
I think
a lot
he does.
More?
I think because of the namesake, yeah. I mean, especially if they're gonna like, I'm waiting for him just to become Theory instead of Austin Theory. And but I mean, I think it's funny because I was having this conversation with a few friends yesterday, like through text, as I was watching freaking catching up on NXT and shit or on AEW, and they were like, "Do you think they kicked him out because he wasn't Latino?" I'm like, "I'm pretty sure that was the undertone, but they couldn't come out and say it."
Right.
But now they got him joining what they say, Seth's flock or whatever.
So
he's a disciple.
Here on the Flow Show, we're race is gonna come up because
Yeah,
obviously
100%.
WWE.
Yeah, because Brian Andrews was the one that said, "Hey, if you want to get Naomi heat, if you want to get
No, I
Charlotte
did
heat,
not. You said this.
listen,
No,
you could listen. If we're gonna
doing
shoot it
this.
straight, let's shoot it straight. If you want to
You
kayfabe
said
it, that's
this.
fine. You pulled me aside before the podcast started, and
No,
you said, "Hey, this is how you get Charlotte Flair
no.
heat." That's fine. I won't say it.
Okay. So with Austin Theory, right? So Seth Rollins started the show off talking about Rey Mysterio, like he poked his eye out, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Carrillo came out to defend Rey Mysterio, right? So, Carrillo has that like loyalty to Mysterio's, I guess, whatever. So, and then Andrade, Garza, Selena kick Austin Theory out of their little clique.
Yeah.
And so going forward, it would be really cool if they find it disrespectful that Seth brought Austin Theory in. Now, I know that these are two heel groups. Hear me out.
I was thinking about that too, if they were going to allow that. I mean, because it kind of definitely plants the seeds for them to be like, wait, what? You're rolling with them now?
So this is how I feel. I feel there'll be times where they try to run in on Seth's group and Zelina group, whatever. And then I could see Seth's group beating Andrade and Garza down, and Carrillo comes out to make the save, not because he wants to save them, but because he still has beef with Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Okay, and then eventually you start planting these seeds where Carrillo doesn't really mind Zelina Vega in the group, and then eventually you get a big match coming on, and then you can see so Carrillo's still the baby face, but Garza and Andrade are still heels.
Yeah.
But you can see him kind of like hinting that they're willing to work together because they have a common enemy. And
that's
then,
true. And then you got even though they probably are like, and beefing, they're still cousins at the end of the day too,
And then eventually you either bring in a new disciple to Seth's group, or you bring AOP back. But around maybe SummerSlam or before then, you see that Rey Mysterio comes back to face Seth, and then you finally build in that Rey Mysterio, Andrade, Carrillo, and Garza faction kind of. But there's still more affiliates than faction at this point.
Okay.
And
so you're trying to manufacture a race war?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. We
I'm
are superior athletes. What makes you superior athletes? We have our bloodline goes back generations, and then they say, "Oh, we come from Aztec warriors," and then
I'm trying to say this is something that Rey Mysterio wanted to do.
In all of your fantasy bookies, there's a common undertone, and I can't figure out what it is. But I think the people could.
If the WWE pulls it off, then
I'm all for LWO. I would love for Latino World Order to come together.
You got Andrade, who's former leader of Los Ingobernables. So it's like he's an OG. He could. Everyone's been wanting him to start something like that. A lot of people were thinking, because if you guys are watching NXT, which is still hard to watch, there was those two guys that keep in masks that keep trying to run up on Phantasma. So it's like a lot of people thought that was going to be the start of something with Andrade, but I was like, he's not even in NXT anymore, so I doubt it. But I wouldn't mind if it was like a freaking Zelina, Andrade, Angel, Humberto, and Rey versus Seth, Murphy, Theory, and possibly a fourth or AOP.
Yeah, and then I was thinking, since Rey Mysterio's contract ends in October, you can still kind of have this weird heel dynamic and face dynamic with Garza and Andrade being heels and Rey and Carrillo, but they're still kind of in the same group. Like, they respect each other, but they don't share the same ideology on how they should do things.
Yeah, that's true.
And
it's like
then
old and new, like old guard, new guard type shit.
And then if Rey Mysterio chooses not to resign, or the WWE decides to let the contract expire in October, you can make Carrillo turn full heel, and they all just jump Rey Mysterio out of the group.
If they wanted to add a fifth, if they did bring back AOP and they still wanted to stack the numbers, Rey Mysterio can bring in Dominic too.
Dominic's a beast, man.
I mean, because when you think about it, if Rey's going to leave, and that was one of the things, because obviously everyone's talking about his contract being up in the air right now. There's a lot that's like influencing his position and his decision right now, because I guess Dominic's already in the PC. So he obviously doesn't want to leave and go to AEW and then, have him locked up in the WWE system. They're going to mistreat him. You know what I mean?
He doesn't want to have a negative effect on his son.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why a lot of people are speculating he might show up at AEW just because Cody has been public about his interest about it. But I think because his son's involved, he may stay. But if he was going to leave and say not go to AEW, but just like retire, I mean, what a way to set up your son. You know what I mean? It's like maybe have your son have to turn the heel to be his son is. They make Dominic be the one to jump his dad out. You know what I mean? I like some mafia shit.
Yeah, at this point, if you're Rey Mysterio, don't you make the sacrifice? Hey, maybe he is interested in going to AEW, but hey, my son's at the Performance Center. Let me stick around. So then ultimately, just like they talk about LeBron and his son, that'd be dope. Dominic and Rey Mysterio tag in the future. That'd be great.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I mean, honestly, if Ray comes over to AEW, cool. I mean, right away, like him versus Darby or him versus Jungle Boy. I mean, obviously him mixing it up with Pride and Powerful and the Lucha Bros as well. Him versus Pac would be awesome. But at the same time, he was at All In, so it's like I've seen him.
Yeah.
If he doesn't go to AEW, I'm not mad at it. I think that WWE is also in a state right now where they're gonna dig the hooks in deeper because first of all, Rey Mysterio is like in terms of their Latin demographic, he's like their cash cow, so they're not just gonna let him walk away to the competition.
Dude, he's a superhero. Like those Mexican kids that still look up to Rey Mysterio.
100%.
And those Mexican dudes, those Mexican I keep saying Mexican dudes. Those Mexicans that haven't watched wrestling, in 10 years, but they still know Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
And they still pop when somebody talks about Rey Mysterio. If he comes up. It'll be stupid for WWE to lose that.
And I feel like Ray could help put the other guys over.
That'd be cool.
100%. It's because I was gonna say, why would they risk losing him when obviously the experiment with we're not even gonna bring up Alberto, but
let's bring it up. Let's talk about it.
The shit with Alberto went south. They're trying with Andrade and Angel simultaneously, but I'm not against Andrade being the next big Latin superstar that they have in WWE, but they have to let him do him. I mean, because the first couple years of his main roster experience, like they wouldn't let him talk because Vince was just like, oh, he doesn't know English. And then
but you do need to learn English. That's what, if you want
totally
to carry that on your back and you want to be the mainstay for the Latin
Vega
culture.
With him. You know what I mean? He came up with Zelina Vega, where it's like she can speak for him.
Yeah, I hear you, but
I really like King Cuerno, El Hijo de Fantasma in NXT. And I think he's already got like the perfect package in terms of what maybe Vince McMahon wants.
I'm not gonna lie, though, his first match, it was really underwhelming with all the hype that he had coming in.
I hear you.
I can't remember who his first match was against. It could have been just the chemistry in the match. I did like what he was doing with Swerve Scott though a couple of weeks ago.
We'll see if they kind of like make him wrestle a more WWE style. Like I know NXT, there's a little bit more flexibility because when he was in Lucha Underground, he put on.
Yeah, he was doing a bunch of shit now. Because when I realized that he was King Cuerno, I was like, oh shit, okay, I already know who this guy is. I've been to a few of the tapings and saw a lot of the stuff he was. I mean, because that's the thing is he does a lot of good cool stuff, and he's actually still like a pretty big guy. I saw a match he had at Lucha Underground where he main evented against Chavo Guerrero, and they had a great match. So. Yeah, I have no doubt in his abilities. I got to see a little bit more of him. I'm not just sold on him just because he's like the newest guy in the mask to show up.
Really? Yeah.
But it's funny. Speaking of a mask, and I just got to bring this up because we would never, ever hear this again. In the spirit of Money in the Bank, as people usually do, I was watching a lot of the matches back, like the old matches. I can't remember which year, but it was a Money in the Bank match that had Cody. It was weird seeing Cody in WWE still. So I was watching his reaction. He was actually pretty over. But, dude, Sin Cara came out. This is the original Sin Cara. Bro, the crowd went crazy. Like, the crowd had signs for him. You know what I mean?
Really?
I was really surprised. And this, mind you, this is like the Money in the Bank after the year after Sheamus, powerbombed him through a table. So it was like he's already appeared once, but I was really surprised that
he was already buried.
Dude, well, it was definitely post entrance botch because he wasn't doing the entrance, flipping over the ropes. He just slid in the ring, but but then again, he actually botched in that match with Dolph Ziggler. How do you botch with Dolph Ziggler, bro?
Right.
But so one of the things is if you want to carry that torch as the next Latin superstar in WWE, you have to be able to go on the Good Morning Americas. You have to go, do those type of things. And he can't have Selena speak for him. That it just won't make sense,
I mean, unless you want to keep up kayfabe.
Yeah, but in 2020, kayfabe isn't rocking how it used to do,
Yeah, no, very true though. I mean, that's if say Broken Matt Hardy went on Good Day America, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You look at him like this guy's stupid, you know? That's
Yeah,
how I
'cause
look at him now. Listen, Broken Matt Hardy is awful. Awful.
I think it's what they call it, a certain kind of taste.
Yeah. What do you think, Vaughn? You a big fan of Broken Matt Hardy?
This is my thing.
You're just drinking the Kool-Aid, right?
I feel like
It's vitamin water.
the Broken Matt Hardy's kind of like ran its course, but at the same time, that's also his best character. So if we want Matt Hardy up, because I'd rather have Broken Matt Hardy than just regular Matt Hardy. And right now he's kind of doing the three faces kind of thing.
Regular Matt Hardy doesn't really have a personality. You can tell he's just one of those guys.
Well, if it's regular, like never unkillable. I never say die. Matt Hardy, he did some sort of like video package with AEW where he like transformed back into him, and he had a pretty good promo. But the Broken Mastiff, I think I would have loved to see it more when it was like popping, and the fact that there was so much momentum when they came into WWE with it, and they just didn't want to freaking capitalize on it because Vince is narcissist because he didn't come up with it, so he's like pissed off about it. But I don't know, like I'm not against it now. I think what works against the effective reception as far as the demographic that loves it is the fact that there's no crowds to put it over, you know what I mean, to make it funny, and then the fact that they're working with limited resources, which I think if they were able to do way more and not have to worry about the gathering situation and how much people are on set as far as like a crew trying to shoot something, I think they'd be able to do more where we wouldn't mind it, because the character itself is so outlandish. We were able to just forgive the fact of how ridiculous it was because of how entertaining, like the flip side of it was, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what wrestling is, right? For that 2 hours, hour and a half, whatever it is, you try to put, reality aside for a minute.
Well, speaking of
100%.
Speaking of reality, though, we brought this up. Me and Quincy brought this up in our first episode, but the Drake Maverick stuff's getting a little, it's getting a little too close to.
I like that. I like that. Let's use what you got. He put out this video that was emotional. It tugged at a lot of heartstrings. It got him put over with a lot of fans. Let's use it for the story.
Okay, I'm going to admit though. I'm going to throw this out there. Kushida should win the Cruiserweight Championship. I'm going to say that right now. But
he definitely needs
I am now rooting for Drake Maverick, just personally. And
I was very surprised that they let him beat Kushida. The way he did it wasn't bad. Because when he reversed that, he was going for like that bulldog off the top, and he reversed it I was like, fuck. Like,
let me ask you guys a question. If you're Drake Maverick, they say, hey, we're gonna have to let you go, but we need you to walk in the cruiserweight tournament. Would you do it?
I would do it.
You gotta get paid.
Specifically because, I was thinking about that as I was watching that match. Even though anyone could say what they want, if they are taking advantage of, because we talked about how some people were kind of like, thinking it's controversial because there's people really out there watching this show to escape the fact that they lost their jobs, and then they're using this guy losing his job as a storyline. Because
you can't please everybody, man. You can't,
Yeah, no, 100%.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Wrestling's always going to piss somebody off. But I was thinking as I was watching him in a match, I was like, I don't think they're going to keep him. I don't. But at the same time, despite people being mad about that, like, you can't ignore the unique position that Drake found himself in. Not everybody on the way out gets to make themselves look great.
Yeah, make yourself look great.
And they're allowing him to do that. Usually they make you do jobs. They try to downplay your value a little bit. So, and then there's the 90-day they stick you with so that by the time, your buzz fizzles out, after the 3-month period. With him, he's kind of working freelance more or less, and he's still getting over on WWE TV, which is as low as the viewership is. He's still getting his face out there.
Still the biggest platform you could have.
100%.
That's what I'm thinking too.
It's 100% a great opportunity for him. It's all about perspective and the way you look at the opportunity. Some people would think it's jacked up, and yeah, I mean, WWE, they've been guilty of this before. I think that's why I kind of can brush that portion of it off, is because they've been guilty of way worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Katie Vick, whatever.
Well, Vince McMahon used 9/11 to get himself over. So
yeah, dude. One of the first people to have a major gathering after that. Yeah, I was like,
so he called Killers of a Jabroni.
And it came from the greatest American ever.
Do you guys feel Drake Maverick has a chance to win that triple threat match and at least get himself in the finals?
I think he has a chance to get himself in the finals, and then it's either going to be a great pop or it's going to be.
But then Kushida loses, and I think Kushida's the right man for the title.
I got a side question actually. Why is it that they're tied and they get a triple threat, but Akira tied with Phantasma?
I think it's
they don't. Yeah,
I think
because it's wrestling. That's the easiest answer.
Hold on. I think it's because Phantasma technically beat Tozawa. So they have a 2-1. They didn't explain this, but I'm explaining it to myself. Since they both have a 2-1
this
record.
This is great. They didn't explain this, but I figured it out myself.
they left just enough breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
They both have a 2-1 record, but Phantasma already beat Tozawa, so he has the tiebreaker. I'm assuming that's what happened.
No, I'm assuming it's because it's Vaseline and it doesn't always make sense.
Because I think one person was
supposed to beat him. Because I remember he had a promo where Akira was like, "I've never met you, but I'm gonna beat you."
Well, he beat him on NXT this week, right? They wrestled, right? Or am I?
Yeah, but wasn't that the first time that they wrestled?
Right. So since the tiebreaker, they both are 2-1, and Phantasma has the tiebreaker win over Tozawa.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because he had 2-0. And he had 1-1, so he won and he took the loss. Okay, I see what you're saying.
You were about to say they wrestled at NXT, right? Or did I just dream that? That's what you're about to say.
I was like, well, everything sounds like. I'm like, wait, did I just watch that? I'm not sure.
If I did, it was a bitching match, and I loved that shit.
Those times where I have conversations, I'm like, damn, did I tell this guy this, or did I just think about it while I was in bed and it became a dream? That's what you're doing in wrestling. See, not Rock versus Hogan. This is what you're doing with NXT.
I do that with text messages. Like, people will be like, I'm like, yo, I text you back. You're like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, you did in your mind, right?
I'm like, I wrote it down. I just didn't press send. I'm sorry.
It happens all the time, man.
I think the Drake Maverick thing has, if the WWE has 90 days to work with this, and I don't know what the Jordan Devlin travel situation is going to be.
I do have some. Not insight on the travel stuff, but
you saw that flex, Brian. He said, "I got a little inside information.
Only for the show." No, well, I think they are going to go with Kushida, because the same night I got into my car accident, but it's all good.
Oh no!
What happened, dude? You got in an accident?
Dude, I went to the NXT Riverside show, and then I came back and someone pretty much just totaled my left. Yeah, it's a dent, but it's I love her. It's cool.
Okay.
I mean, she's still getting me to work, so it's all great. But that night they had this weird angle where it was Devlin defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Kushida. Kushida almost beat him, and then Jordan saw. Oh, that's what it was. He beat him, but he had his foot. He held the rope. Ref didn't see it. Jordan Devlin played up to the crowd like he was gonna give him a rematch, and then when he's about to hit the ring, he's like, "Yeah, never." Yeah, he's just like, "Yeah, right." You know what I mean? But it was such a weird way how they left it, where it was like, "Is this for something later down the line?" Or because usually they'll practice like a lot of their feuds on the house shows and stuff. Yeah. So I wouldn't doubt that they're gonna inch their way toward a Jordan Devlin Kushida program, because they worked. That match was honestly like that match that they worked on a house show made me a fan of Jordan Devlin.
So
it was really good.
What I think, which I think that's the right thing to do, but I think if you're trying to milk a story here, you have Drake Maverick win the interim Cruiserweight Championship, and then lose to Devlin, and then that's the send off.
I don't know. I think if they have 90 days, that they should just have him not win, and then have him turn on Jake Atlas, or have Jake Atlas turn on him, and then to have a little mini feud on his way out.
That'd be cool.
It's kind of weird how like Atlas is taking like this interest in Drake Maverick's particular situation, even though he just got there,
So just so I don't sound like an ass. All right, so who beat who on the other side of the bracket? So Drake beat Kushida. Did Kushida beat Jake?
Yeah.
And then did Jake beat Drake?
Yeah.
Okay,
Jake
so that's why they're having a triple threat match. Okay.
Okay, that
listen,
makes sense,
anybody that says, hey, they should be offended, Drake Maverick shouldn't do this, they already fight him, in this economy, you got to get as much money
I
as
was
you
gonna
can.
say, bro,
You gotta
like,
collect those
you're not
checks,
paying.
man.
These people aren't paying Drake Maverick's bills,
Oh
bro.
man, listen,
Fool
I'm
just got
really-
married. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to collect those checks. You got to do what you got to
100%,
do,
bro.
man.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
not-
not-
it's
I'm-
sensitive.
I'm not
And
mad
what's-
at it because he's looking good doing what he's doing. You know?
And what's Drake gonna do for 90
Yeah,
days?
exactly.
Like,
No, yeah, I mean, and when those 90 days are up, it's like, I mean, the only thing I can think of is possibly rolling in with EC3 somewhere because obviously they have ties, past ties with.
if you're
They've been
Drake-
promoting that too, right? That they're going to do
Well,
something.
they pitched trying to get that going in WWE, but I guess they did it on a house show and they just didn't like the way it went.
Yeah.
If you're
Right.
Drake though, and the WWE changes their mind, do you take the deal?
I take the deal 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you
I mean,
got to
but,
get the money while you can.
Does that make you a scab?
What's a scam?
The scab is like when the factory go, everyone's on a strike at the factory, but you cross the line, but you still got to get your bills.
I mean, that's a little different if you're standing in solidarity with somebody, but there's still wrestlers that are wrestling,
100%.
and they say, "Hey, you went over, you got yourself over, you proved to us that we made a mistake. We would love to offer you a new contract." There's nothing wrong with saying, "Yeah, let's do it." What are you going to say? No, I'm not going to take it, and you're going to sit at home.
Vince is a big fan of ratings. So if he's like, hey, man, this got views, and someone showed it to him, and I'm talking about that emotional video, and they probably never seen that side
100%.
of Drake Maverick because Vince is probably just remembering Drake Maverick as the guy who pissed his pants.
Yeah.
Even though the guy who pissed his pants first was Vince, but whatever.
Do you think that Vince McMahon has ever seen that Drake Maverick video?
I think so.
I
think that's the only reason why he's –
yeah.
The only other reason I think if it's not Vince, it's Triple H.
That makes more sense, right?
That's throwing him a bone, and I don't want to make it seem like a pity party, but I think it's also not. I mean, when you think about it, Triple H is getting the benefit of producing great TV for people to tune in, and it's probably doing well with the ratings as far as like what people are actually paying attention to. Because to be honest, there's a lot that they threaded through with this tournament that at first I wasn't like I was just whatever about because I was like, dude, you guys are like. Championship relinquish heavy and tournament heavy lately. Like everyone's doing this shit.
Yeah.
But then this tournament actually, I mean, especially with the format, even though they bit off best of the Super Junior or the G1 pretty much, but
it's business. I don't see Triple H seeing that video and saying, "Hey, I feel bad. Let me see if I can do something for him." It's just that's not how business
I think
works out.
I think it's a little bit of that, but it's more again where he's thinking, can we produce more viewership for the show?
It could also just be that they made the announcement. They made the announcement Drake was going to be in it anyway.
Yeah.
So Triple H could have just been like,
true.
"Hey Vince, we already announced it, but we just haven't worked his 90 days here."
He's just fucking with Vince because
Vince.
He's like, it's just gonna be a one-off, and he's like, why do you keep making him win? He's like, hey, I don't make the rules. He's like, yes, you do. I'm sorry.
The one thing that I haven't considered though is maybe because we're assuming this is during his 90 days. It could be that his 90 days start when he's
started after,
Yeah. So
damn, but that would make it even longer. Well, I mean, when you think about it, if that's the case, then he probably has a better chance of getting a place to work possibly by the end of those 90 days.
Yeah, 100%. I hear people talk about they got the 90 days, they didn't get the 90 days. Where are you going to work? You can't go to Northeastern Wrestling and get a gig. It's not happening.
I want to book it. Blood feud. Rockstar Spud, aka Drake Maverick versus Marco Stunt.
Oh my God! No, Marco doesn't deserve that fame. So,
did you? Because I see we're winding down a little bit. Did you guys? I mean, we brought it up earlier. I mean, I gotta ask, what is the legacy of Alberto Del Rio now at this point? Is he ever gonna get back in the wrestling?
We were talking about this.
Me and Baca were saying he's flirting with Chris Benoit levels of bad.
Fuck, man, like
he's at level 8 out of his skeleton.
I mean, and you guys saw that picture he took. I'm like, oh, you're out of your mind. You're whacked out of your mind, dude. I was like, geez.
What do you think it is? You think it's drugs?
Oh, 100%.
What type of drugs do you think he's on? Let's take a guess. Brian, what type of drugs do you think he's on?
Gatorade.
It's crazy,
He just
man.
had too many electrolytes and he just went crazy, man.
Vitamin. He should have switched to vitamin.
Yeah.
So he's Mexican, right? Or was he like Salvadorian and WWE just said he was Mexican?
I believe he's Mexican.
I believe.
All right, I'll take that one, man.
I believe it is.
So.
His dad's pretty famous.
So. Speaking of wrestlers that are no longer with the WWE,
I thought you were going to say speaking of wrestlers that are no longer with us.
I thought that was a segue.
Rest in peace, Chad. But
100%.
Oh, poor guy, dude. Jeez, man.
Yeah, no, like I hate to compare it, but like I was talking to a buddy, I was like, this shit reminds me of Kobe a little bit.
No, you can't. I love the guy, but you can't compare him to Kobe.
No,
Kobe
I'm not talking about.
Kobe was the second or the fourth best
no.
basketball player of all time.
I'm not talking about in terms of like who they are. I'm talking about in terms of like someone that people had nothing but nice things to say, and just unfortunate things. Both being fathers and both incidents, including their children. Unfortunately, or fortunately, one incident was a little bit different in terms of outcome, but. I mean, dude died a hero, man, and
100%, man. Rest in peace.
Yeah, 100%, dude.
My segue was attended for Drew Gulak.
Oh yeah, did you guys hear about this? Like he was asking for I guess he was asking for the raise that they promised him because he was still getting paid that 205 live money, even though he had been traded to the main roster. For I think maybe almost a year, and he still was getting paid 205 live money, even though he wasn't on 205 live.
Right.
Yeah, but it looks like in this economy, how can you give somebody a raise when you're
100%. Yeah, I don't blame them at all. I mean, I understand both positions.
I understand his position too. He has to take a stand for himself. But he might have bluffed, and they called his bluff. And that's
I was gonna say they pretty much withdrew the offer they had, and I mean, I guess it was kind of meant as like a message sent towards the rest.
A good thing I think he has going for him is he doesn't have some stupid WWE name attached to him. Like this is his real wrestling name, and. He doesn't have a 90-day non-compete, and do you think he's going to be a double or nothing in that ladder match?
A lot of people were thinking now. I don't think he's a good fit for AEW, to be honest. I would rather see him in like NWA, ROH. I don't want to. And New Japan would be probably a better fit for him just because of how he is.
I personally, I don't mean to interrupt, but I personally feel like him and a lot of these other release wrestlers, to be honest, if they're not having any ill,
just go start their own fed. I feel
you. I think most of these guys might actually re-sign with the WWE once this pandemic.
I'm sure a few of them have some sort. I mean, because there's a few of them where you like I was shocked that Eric Rowan, with this much they put into him the last year and a half. I was like, I mean, it's not like he didn't get the spider over. You guys, the spiders suck.
But he didn't get over though, not like that.
I mean, they started getting him over. I mean, they were putting him in some pretty high profile matches, feuds with Roman Reigns. You know what I mean?
But sometimes it just doesn't work out.
No, you're very right. But yeah, I mean, Drew. The other name that's rumored for the ladder match for Double or Nothing. Believe it or not, one is Sting, which I was like, no,
that's crazy.
I was like, why of all matches would he come back to do a ladder match after everything? But the other name, I guess, and this is pretty, when you think about it, it's pretty realistic. Brian Cage is another one. I mean, he was announced as supposedly signing with All Elite earlier this year, maybe late last year, and then Melissa was like vehemently denying everything, saying we never signed anything. So I know he's been dealing with an injury, so it would be, kind of perfect timing.
If you're gonna pick someone who's actually within the company right now, who do you think it would be?
I would have picked Pac, but I don't think he could fly out. I would have picked Pac, to be honest.
It's interesting that I find I'm pretty sure they're just on two different schedules or in two different locations, but like Phoenix is wrestling, but Pentagon's not.
Well, I don't know.
Pentagon doesn't seem like doesn't seem like out of the box that he would take that spot.
I think he may. Yeah, I think he may take his spots. I mean, because Phoenix obviously got hurt, freaking on last night, which was. I'm so sick of seeing him take that bump, dude. I've seen him take that same bump and set backwards in Impact on the freaking
They said he was fine. They said he popped up like a king.
Yeah, but
I didn't see him pop. I seen the referee because after he flipped and he didn't he hurt himself. Everybody just started fucking flipping, and I don't think everyone knew that he was hurt, and they were it was a cluster. There's a lot about Dynamite that was whatever to me as far as a go home. I thought they were doing a little bit too much in certain areas.
My biggest pet peeve, and I know it's because there's other people involved in other storylines, and I feel they should just wait on this story if not everybody could do it. But I don't like that Matt Hardy is this affiliate elite member.
It's stupid.
It doesn't sit right with me. It should be Cody.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have 7 vice presidents, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, they call him a cabinet, right? After a while, it's just too many delegates in one spot.
If not, then have Chris Jericho sit out the match or something, and then just have the 4 inner circle guys face.
No, let's get the inner city guys in. That'd be dope.
The
inner circle versus the inner city.
So just keep
instead of Proud and Powerful,
it's Proud and Powerful in Private Party.
Oh man, it's really good talking to you guys, man. I really enjoyed this.
No, 100%, man.
Really quick before we go, can we admit that given what WWE was given, the Money in the Bank matches were pretty damn good? Come on, dude. I know you're drinking that AEW Kool-Aid.
No. The reason why I can't say it's good or not is because before I knew what it was going to be and watched it, I had it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. And I was like, this is going to be it's a mad world, which is like a whole movie of different characters and trying to get to a spot. It's a race. And there's just cut scenes of what different people are going through. And I'm like, that's exactly what it was. There was some stuff I wouldn't have put in there, like John Laurinaitis and freaking Brother Love.
I think it was great, man. I
loved Rey Mysterio getting choked out by Shayna.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it.
I was just mad that it was Otis, bro. Because we were talking about
Otis can't walk on no matter what.
Otis can't walk on Good Day LA, bro.
Yeah, 100%. I like Otis.
But I'm going to tell you this right now. I told this to Baca last time. If you can hold that briefcase for a year. If he holds it for until there's a live crowd, and he cashes that in, that crowd is gonna pop so hard. It might be on levels Dolph Ziggler levels.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. I like it.
It's gonna be like Santino at the Rumble and at the Elimination Chamber-esque type hygiene.
No, you don't compare that to Otis. Otis is an entertaining guy, dude.
He's
a great wrestler too.
We have about less than a minute. Any last thoughts before we head out?
It was great. We got to do this again. I'll definitely see you guys next week. I guess we'll talk about these AEW marks and Double or Nothing.
You gotta watch Double or Nothing, Baca.
I love Cody. I make a lot of jokes, but I own about 15 Bullet Club, AEW, All Elite T-shirts because I really do like the independent spirit.
And Cody sold those to you, didn't he?
Yeah, I love Cody Rhodes. I know he's watching this, Cody. Let's just make this friendship happen and let's get it going. So let's make it happen. At Young Baca, you guys can follow me.
Real quick. Hangman Adam Page has the best theme in AEW. Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah. And the best entrance on the football field. But this has been For the Love of Wrestling. I am Quincy Jones Go. Brian Andrew, Young Baca. Till next time.
Look at Brian's shirt. Look how great his shirt is, right? You can't pull that off, Quincy.
I can't, and
I can't pull that off. I wish I had the confidence to pull it off, but that's great. Can you get up really quick and let us see before we get out of here? Wow, look at that.
It's see-through too, but you can't.
The fact that you have a girlfriend and I'm single blows my mind. That's crazy, right? If somebody aliens came down this planet and they said, which one of these guys has a girlfriend? And they'd say, the guy with the tie-dye button-up definitely doesn't have it. So, good talking to you guys, man. Good times.
Don't bury him, bro.
No, I'm jealous. I wish I had that confidence, man.
I'm getting over in spite of the burial.
100%.
And the shirt's getting them over.
Where'd you get that at?
I think Target.